Hello and welcome to episode 71 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And we're doing it again because for some reason it didn't record the first time.
Yeah, part deux.
So this week we're going to be a little newsy. We're going to try to fold in some of the results from the weekend tournaments that I could find.
Yep, a little bit of everything this weekend. Yep. It's potpourri for 500, Alex.
That's right. We've already used that title. Come up with something new.
Sorry.
That's fine. It's fine. So if you want to tweet at us, you can get us at CasualTryPod.
Yep. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, you can do that at CasualTryHardMTG. As always, you can shoot us an email at show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. Don't forget about our TCG affiliate link, tcg.CasualTryHardMTG.com. After you follow that link, we will get a very small cut of whatever you purchase. Perfect for all those brand new Ikoria cards that everyone's selling this weekend. We also have our Patreon at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. If you want to support us a little bit more directly, we understand times are tough, and if you can't, that's fine, but we would greatly appreciate it. We have our YouTube channel, CasualTryHardMTG. We don't have anything new up there right now, but if you want to hop over there and subscribe, it'll let you know whenever we do put something up. And new as of last week, we have our Discord server up and running, right?
We do. People were in there talking about their at-home pre-release.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it looks super sweet.
Yeah, I was putting some thoughts about our Adopt a deck.
Yep.
We'll get to that later. I'm traumatized. But,
that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Also on our Discord server, we have a free stuff section where I've been giving away a handful of the FNM promo arena codes from Theros that are good for APAC. If anyone wants to hop over there and ask for one, I'll gladly give one out. And I also scored a very small number of the arena codes from the pre-release kits from this weekend. I don't have a ton, so hop over there early, and I'll go in like chronological order. I can only give them out when I'm at home. For some reason, it doesn't work that well on my phone. So I'll go in chronological order. So just post up, and as soon as I get home, I'll send a batch out until they're gone. I am working on getting like another chunk of them, but I don't have them in my hand yet. So first come, first serve.
That's pretty cool. So when we did this the last time, we got super excited about making money on cards and did a quick finance section right in the middle of our intro. Now we're out of the intro. Quick little finance section using our TCG affiliate link. Go.
Mm-hmm. Doran, the Perfect Pet, is the Godzilla frame card of Sprite Dragon. The card is getting a little bit of hype in some of the Eternal formats in like Delver and Phoenix shells. I know Reed Duke did a video about Grixis Delver in Modern where he didn't perform that great, but the deck looked really strong. That card in particular or all the Godzilla cards, I guess, are only available from the collector packs and the box toppers in the boxes of Ikoria. You can't get them in normal booster packs. So once the collector packs run out, the supply is going to effectively be nothing. If that card does gain traction, which, I mean, it's a good card, I don't see why it wouldn't, that card could get really expensive. Right now, they're like sub $5. I think I picked mine up for right around $4 over the weekend. So, quick finance spec. Hop on them if that's Delver is your jam.
Yeah, I got a playset for like $4 a piece. A playset of the foil ones. Like the non-foil ones are like $2 or something. Yeah,
but I think even $2 for non-foils is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
The artwork is super cute and unique, so.
Yeah. And you were saying that the alternate art for, I guess they're all the mutate creatures, is super cool in person?
Yeah, like looking at them on the computer screen does not do them justice. I wasn't super excited about them other than the lands until I actually got some cards in my hands. And as soon as I had a free minute at home, I went on TCG Player and ordered everything to finish up play sets of all of them. They are all sick.
If you happen,
they're not playable.
If you happen to get a Space Godzilla Death Corona, they are $30 or something right now, $25.
And plummeting.
Death Corona is?
Yeah, they were. It's just an uncommon, so you end up getting like 2 or 3 of them out of every collector booster box.
Oh, okay.
And they were like $200 a couple of weeks ago.
Whew.
Yeah. My box topper was one.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah. They're definitely going down.
Okay, well, that's good. I kind of want one, but I don't want one for $25 because I'm not going to play it. I just want to have like Death Corona to have a memento of our wonderful time inside.
Yeah, I briefly thought about dumping it when I had it, but I was like, no, you know what? This will always remind me of the set that never was.
The set that never was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
See, it's a set that never was because it's getting banned out of existence.
I was going to say, for a set that never was, it has made some waves. So today, Wizards made a bunch of announcements, and they made them all on the same day. And
which is kind of weird.
The first one they made was a B&R that, as Pleasant Kenobi pointed out, kind of drowned out everything else they were doing.
Yeah, especially like the last minute one that they made like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it was just like, that should have got like its own day.
Right. I think all three of these should have gotten their own day.
You could have done them like today, Wednesday, and Friday to give them all time to breathe or something.
Yeah, but I agree.
So let's talk about the banned and restricted announcement.
Sure.
So the banned and restricted announcement was in Vintage, Legacy, and Brawl, and I know that Vintage and Legacy aren't formats that get played a ton, but they get
played a lot more online than they do in paper.
Yeah, but they could also be kind of bellwethers for what might be happening in other formats, and there was some interesting stuff in the announcement. So in Vintage, they banned Loris.
Yep.
And as someone,
that's kind of groundbreaking, right?
This is the first card that's ever been banned for power level purposes in Vintage. And they point out that restricting the card doesn't do anything since you only ever play one and it's in your sideboard.
Right.
So they just outright banned it.
Mm-hmm.
So other than dexterity cards and Shahrazad, you now have anti-cards. You now have Loris.
Yep.
As
really
a
weird
banned card. From what I saw from people that had played Legacy, like LSV, like the format was just like 90% Loris decks or 80% Loris decks.
Yeah.
So then in Legacy, we've banned Loris and Zerta.
Yeah.
So Loris was in like every Delver deck and basically just went in every deck in Legacy with like very little deck building constraint.
Yeah, I mean, almost every permanent in most Legacy decks is CMC2 or less.
Yeah.
And like the only downside is you're giving up a sideboard slot for an 8th card in your opening hand. Like that seems pretty good.
Yeah, and so like it was just everywhere, much like in Vintage. And then they, I think, were afraid that if you get a load of Loris, then the Zerta decks come and take over. So Zerta reducing the cost of activated abilities by 2 made it so like Grim Monolith and Basalt Monolith made infinite mana. So Basalt Monolith is a 3-mana mana rock that you tap and it makes 3, but then you pay 3 to untap it. So with Zerta, every time you tapped and untapped it, you netted 2 mana. Yep. And Grim Monolith is a 2-mana artifact that taps and makes 3 and untaps for 4.
Yep, but with Zerta, it untaps for 2, so you net 1 mana every time.
Yeah. So people were just getting walking.
What deck were people playing that in? Like the Bomberman shells?
Yeah, it was Bomberman.
Okay.
So they were afraid that if they got rid of Loris, that then those decks would just like take over and be the only thing anyone would do.
Yep, makes sense.
So next up is Brawl.
Yeah, in Brawl we lost 2 cards. Number 1, we're gonna start off with Drannith Magistrate.
Yeah,
was banned just because like they don't. It's the same reason that they banned Sorcerer Spyglass. They don't want cards that like don't let your opponent play Commander or not Commander Brawl. Like that format's just kind of for funsies.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure people are having fun, and when you don't get to play your Commander, you're not really having a whole lot of fun.
When your opponent turned to Magistrate to you, and you're just like, why is this card legal?
Right.
Like this just seems like weird.
Yeah, especially if your Commander's like integral to the deck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of awkward. And then second from that, they banned Winota. I had been playing a little bit of Brawl over the weekend. I was a little burned out after the dumpster fire that was our adopted deck this week.
Sorry, Ken.
So I was, yeah, sorry, Ken. So I was playing a little bit of Brawl, and I ran into probably 4 Winota lists. And after I got absolutely dumpstered by the first one, I didn't even play the games when I saw my opponent had Winota. I just scooped.
I had my opponent attack with their Winota out and whiff like 3 times in a row. I was like, you must have built your deck poorly.
Oh, you're very lucky because my opponents never whiffed and they killed me very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the engine talk we had before. Winota just lets you get semi-infinite mana.
Right.
It's like you attack with a couple 1/1s and you might get 15 mana worth of stuff for free.
Yeah, it's so snowbally.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I guess I'm done here.
Yeah,
Cool.
And like unless you have a Wrath, it just gets like worse and worse every turn.
Yeah. Maybe we should stop making cards that make it so you don't have to pay mana for things.
Imagine that.
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
It would be weird. They didn't mess with Standard, Modern, or Pioneer. I think part of the reason they didn't mess with Standard is the announcement that they had later on. Right?
Correct.
They said they had
looking back, it makes sense now.
Yeah, that we have a diverse meta game, and there's constant evolution in the format, and there's no deck with too high a win percentage.
Yeah, and the Red Bull results beg to differ, don't they?
Yes. So I could only find the conversion rates and the win rates for the day 1 decks in the Red Bull tournament. I know that Blue-White Control won the event, but I don't know what like the top 8 look like or anything. Google has failed me if they're out there. So Jeskai Luka Yorian, if we get the full name,
Jeskai Yorian Luka Fires.
Yes, was
feels like I'm calling it for dinner. Jeskai Yorian Luka Fires. Get over here right now.
Yeah, and you're mad.
Yeah.
So this tournament had 4,661 players.
Huge. That is a huge event.
That is a huge event, right? Right, to win one. So it was that many people to win one spot, one of the 16 spots in the grand finals, and $5,000. Could you imagine?
Man.
Like, Magic players would lose their minds if they went to a GP and it was 4,700 people for $5,000. They get mad when it's like 400 people for 15 or 20 grand. Like, this is terrible EV.
Right.
This is basically, if everyone had an equal chance to win, you all had a shot at $1. Was your expected value was $1. So that's a pretty big sample size, right, of players, and they played 8 rounds, which isn't enough, but whatever. So there was 100.
It is pretty impressive logistically, though, to do this without like a client that supports it.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, but
good on them.
And so day 2 was the top 128 players with a record better than 6. 1-1 on day 1. So I guess that means better than 6 1-on-1 means it was 7-1, or 6-0-2.
Correct.
Yeah. So basically, if you got a loss, you were pretty much done or close to it. Of the 4,700 people that showed up, 464 of them showed up with Jeskai Luka.
Holy moly.
And you're like, yo, cool. That's like 10% of the field. That doesn't feel bad. Well, there were 48 of them on day 2 out of 128, which made them 37.5% of the field.
So if you sat down, if this was a GP and you sat down at a table in day 2, 3 of the people at your table would be on the same deck?
Something like that, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. It's So yeah, basically in day 2, a third of the people were on Jeskai Luca.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay. Now they had the win rates. So I guess the next highest percentage was Boros Cycling. So there were 242 people that showed up with Boros, so about half as many people that showed up with Jeskai Luca.
Right.
Only 17 of them made it to day 2. So it was 13%. So Jeskai Luca was like 2.5, almost 3 times the next deck in day 2.
Man, that's impressive.
Yes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And another thing, going through the list, something close to 80% of the decks had a companion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some that don't list a companion, like Boros Cycling, but like Boros Cycling always plays Loris. So, like, you know it's there. And there are a few other ones that, like, you know, didn't specifically have, like, the companion listed, but you know.
Like
and
Rakdos Sacrifice plays Loris.
Well, there's Rakdos Sacrifice Obosh and Rakdos Sacrifice Loris were both listed. And then down at the bottom, there was just Rakdos Sacrifice. I don't know if that person just didn't want to get any new cards from the new set. And they were just like, nope, I'm rolling with what I rolled.
I don't know what they were doing, but they're wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. There were 13 people out of the 4,000 showed up with that deck. One of them made it to the next day. But there were 80% of the decks, 80% of day 2 had a companion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of crazy for our diverse and ever-evolving metagame. Right? Now, they also Wizards also said, hey, no deck has too high of a win percentage.
That's laughable.
Jeskai Luca's win percentage in this 4,700 person tournament was 61%.
Just to put that in perspective, with a percentage of the metagame that high, like that includes mirror matches.
Yeah, well, this was day 1, was 61. So, you know, it didn't, like, it was 10% of the day 1 metagame. Mm-hmm. So it does include mirror matches, but it wasn't like if the win rate was 60% day 2, which I can't find, like, then it would be super absurd. But even at like 10%, like, you know, if 10% of the games or something, or, you know, 7% or whatever it is there are mirror matches, those go to 50-50. So the actual non-mirror match win rate has to be in the middle 60s.
Right.
Somewhere around 65 to 70, which is a huge, huge problem.
Yes.
Like, giant problem.
Like any other time would require immediate bannings.
Yes. The next highest win rate, just scanning through here, Mono White Loris, which had 20 decks. Mm-hmm. So,
I'm assuming that's all the glitters deck?
I'm assuming so as well. Which is a minuscule sample size compared to 464, had a 57% win rate.
Jeez.
If you have a deck that's like, I would say if you had like a deck that was a larger percentage of the field, but there's really not, then it goes to 53. So that 57 is an outlier. Everything else is 53% or below.
Yeah.
And usually when you have the best deck in the format, you would think, oh man, they probably get game 1, but game 2, everyone just has like 7 cards that they bring in.
Yeah.
Jeskai Luca's win rate went up post board. It went from 59.6 to 61.8.
That's even more surprising now that we're talking about it on the show and I'm thinking about it than it was before we were recording and I was thinking about it, because that's an 80 card deck. How does your win rate go down or go up after sideboard when you're running an 80 card deck?
I mean, you're not drawing them too often, but
that doesn't even make sense. I
think it's more that there's not a good way to hate out the deck.
Yeah.
I sent you an article from, I do believe it's TCG Player, from Nick Prince, who was like, we're in a format where everyone's playing 4 mana sorcery speed enchantments and like 5 and 6 and 7 drops. Like Disdainful Stroke should be amazing, but that card doesn't get played because if your opponent sticks a Teferi, you look like a dope.
Yeah, it just rots in your hand.
Yeah, you're like,
we'll talk about that in particular a little bit more when we get to the adopt a deck thing, because that was one of the points I made about the Bolas Grixis deck.
Yeah, so Jeskai Luka was kind of the best deck last week and is still the best deck this week. It's funny, I was listening to last week's Arena deck list and they were like, oh, well, Jeskai Luka is, like, people are getting more aggressive, so, you know, that might put a pinch on that, and WOTC's doing a show. It's like what is it called? It's some metagame thing where it's like, it's Riley Knight, Cedric Phillips, and Maria Bartoli, and then like random fourth person. It's been Corey Baumeister the last couple weeks, and they were talking about how like, oh look, these like aggressive, like I think like Mono Red Obosh won like it was Teamer Rec won, not Teamer Rec, Teamer Adventures won the weekend before, and they're like, oh, see, this deck's really good against Jeskai Luka.
Yeah, it's supposed to have a decent matchup.
But it's one of those things. It's one of those things that like I feel like it's Luka is the thing that is there, and like you can craft a narrative that it didn't win the tournament, but at no point have we realistically been like, oh well, that deck didn't win the tournament, so it's not the best deck. It's like, no, like, you know, it's 40% of your day 2 metagame. You know, it's like it's winning 6% of its games. It's the best deck, but maybe the person in their 80 card deck didn't draw the nuts in the finals and lost, and we're like, oh, well, see, it's not the best deck. This other deck won. It's like, yeah, the person had one bad draw, and it happened to be in the finals, and they lost.
It was where it counted.
Yeah, but you can't erase the entire tournament and be like, oh, well, see, this other deck won. Yeah. So yeah, we have a diverse and very, very good metagame.
According to Wizards.
According to Wizards. So yeah. Now, the thing that was most interesting in this BNR announcement, other than, you know, the actual bans, is that they mentioned at the end that they were aware that a lot of people feel like they're playing against more companions than they should, and they're concerned about repetitive gameplay and repetitive game states.
Which is something that we've, you know, talked about on the show a bunch of times now.
Yeah.
Like our last couple episodes specifically, we mentioned it.
Yeah, as I think it was Pleasant Kenobi or someone else might have mentioned, like, how are they worried about this and then let them get out the door?
Yeah.
Like, how was this your concern? This is now a concern, but how did you not realize this in development?
Yeah.
And then a little bit just after that, they were like, basically, we're willing to, in the future, change the rules for companion.
Yeah, that was weird. It was just kind of like thrown in the very last sentence. Like, I think a lot of people missed it the first time around, but that's like something unprecedented.
It is like I think people have used the legend rule as like, hey, they've changed the legend rule like 3 times.
Yeah, that's completely different though. I mean, they didn't fix the legend rule because like legends were breaking the game. They changed it a couple times, like to just make the game easier to track, basically.
Well, I think that the original legend rule did break the game, where like,
oh, you couldn't. Well, no, the original.
Like if you played your legend first, if I played,
just couldn't cast theirs.
If they cast it, it died. It got sacrificed. So it was like whoever got their legend out first had like this huge advantage. So that's kind of game breaking. But like after that change, which that change happened like years ago.
Oh yeah, long time ago.
15 to 20 years ago. Then the other ones have been small, almost cosmetic changes.
Right.
But to be like, yeah, we are starting to admit or floating a trial balloon of, yeah, we may have messed up this rule. And, or like, hey, just so you know, we're aware we might have messed up this rule.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Yeah. It's insane to think about. Especially like as soon after release as it is.
Yeah, like
because
a month?
Even though, yeah, well, not even. Like, even though it's been on Arena, like technically the set didn't release until last weekend.
Yeah, I guess the counterpoint there is like there have been so many games played on Arena and Magic Online. It's probably almost as much play as there would be on in a normal release.
Yeah.
And that's where they get their data from.
That's true.
Right? They don't get their data from paper events as much. They're looking at, the things that they can easily control and like scrape data from. Mm-hmm. And those are their digital platforms. But yeah, no, it is crazy to think that they were like, hey, we developed this mechanic. Yes, we did. It's a very good mechanic. Oh, it's great. Oh, yeah. Send it out the door. Cool. And it goes out the door, and they're like, we've made a terrible mistake. They became Job from Arrested Development. I've made a terrible mistake. Just instantly, it's like, whoa. Like, how long did you guys play this for that you made a terrible mistake? Like, again, this goes back to the play design points we made last week, right?
Right.
Oko. Oh, this is good. And it gets spoiled, and everyone goes like, "What are you doing?" And then they were like, "Yeah, oops, we forgot how we didn't ever use Oko to beast within all of our opponent's stuff. Our bad." Like, did they not just put companions in their decks and go like, "Oh, I don't know why, but I have this warm fuzzy feeling when I have an 8-card hand. This is great."
That's kind of the point that I made last week, though. That like if you handed Luris to anybody in the MPL, like you'd have got slapped. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're thinking about printing this card. What do you think? Whack!
Yeah, like what? Batman smacking Robin.
Exactly.
Like, no, you don't do that. I don't know how it's changed so quickly. Like, I don't know how you develop the set and play it, and then it takes people going, like, oops, you missed this, to not even have an inkling that you missed it. Like, but not like, oh, this is cutting it close, but hopefully it'll be okay, and sending it out the door. If they were there at the, like, this might be too good, maybe you, like, don't send it out. Because anytime you think something might be a little too good or is close to that line, you're wrong, and it's too good.
Yeah, way far over that line. That kind of goes back to, like, me and you were just talking before the show a little bit, and you mentioned Sam Black, like, during his stint at Wizards, was like, I know you said you couldn't find sources, so I don't want to, say this as gospel truth, but you mentioned that he was, like, championing for companions to not make print because they would just break the game.
Yeah, so Jim Davis had a video about 3 weeks ago talking about how to fix companion. And it was some things that I think we've talked about before, basically you have the companion, but you mulligan down to 6 or whatever. And he was like, if good minds in Magic are concerned about something, then I'm concerned. And like, it's like Sam Black was consulting with Wizards during the development of the set and was against these going to print. So I did like a Twitter deep dive, and I read some articles he wrote on SEG, and I couldn't find that he said that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if people
he's been very vocal about not liking companions, though, even if you couldn't find a source for that.
Yeah. But I don't know, if you just keep missing, like, you have to just take a step back and be like, Like I said, they had to walk this line of, if they're not good enough, they won't see play. But if they're too good, they break everything.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't realize if they were too good, they would break everything. Maybe it was like, well, if they're too good, they'll get played a lot, but it'll be fine. But they were too good and they broke everything.
Yeah.
I understand wanting to, like, walk that, like, you want them to be played. But, like, when I looked at them, I was like, meme card.
Yeah, it's my Pokemon buddy.
Yeah, it's like meme card, then like, ooh, wait, Loris is really good in depths.
Right.
Right? And then it just became like, oh, these are busted. But I think they wanted them to be somewhere closer to meme, and we just did not get there. So now we have an inkling, a feeling as to why we didn't get a ban in standard.
Yeah.
And that is our next topic.
Yeah, so this is like hot off the presses, like in between me getting home and us recording right now.
Yeah, it's an article from Forbes. Is that right?
I guess that's where we're getting our Magic information now is Forbes.
Yeah, I mean, it does involve money, so I guess they're in. They're like, yeah, we're in Forbes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they are holding an online tournament.
Yeah, like it. I mean, it sounds super sweet. This is a big event that anybody can sign up for in Arena, like in its own tournament structure. You don't have to use third-party software to find your pairings, yada, yada, yada. It's not Swiss pairing, so it's not like an actual tournament, but it is like an honest-to-God, competitive, like high-stakes event.
With actual cash payouts.
Yeah. Physical dollaridoos.
Yes, they the little logo they have is a Planeswalker logo with $3 signs at the bottom of it. They're really trying to know. That's how you know you're getting paid.
That's right.
So this is the Arena Open, and it's coming to Arena May 30th.
Yeah, it's 20,000 gold or 4,000 gems to enter. And I wasn't sure how much money that equated to, so I hopped into Arena and saw how much 4,000 gems would cost. It's about $25.
Okay.
I think, if I did my math right.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, so about $25 to enter, which is a third the price of a GP admission, roughly half the price of a Star City Open. So that's not bad.
No.
For like an honest-to-God competitive event. Your entry fee gives you the Godzilla lands, the Secret Lair Godzilla lands. You don't actually get physical copies of them, but you get them for Arena, so that's cool.
Okay.
And what I thought was awesome about this is it's being labeled as, like their words were, play at your own pace. So because there's no Swiss structure to the tournament, you have time windows where you sign in and you can play your games during those time windows. And they're basically all day. So day one is May 30th from 8 a.m. until 7 a.m. on May 31st. So you have like almost 24 hours to get your 7 games in. I think this is awesome because not only does it let you take a break and get away from like burning out. We've talked about that in the show before too, how these long events can be really mentally strenuous. Just getting up to eat dinner with your wife or, going for a walk or something in between games can dramatically impact your performance. So it's cool that you have time to do that. And also, like, when I read this announcement, I was like, oh man, I got to work on that day. I can't play in this tournament. And then I kept reading and like, I can totally play in this tournament. I can get off of work and, get 7 games in.
Yeah. I love your attitude. 7 games. Just bang them all out. No losses.
Well, I didn't say they were all in one shot because that's another thing this format lets you do is if you scrub out early, you get to re-up.
Oh, you do?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got to the like the price payout at the bottom. I skipped some of that. So they're letting you buy back in? Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. It is day one is completely open. So yeah, if you go 5-2 and you were like, oh, I almost got there, go ahead and give it another shot.
They are going to be just raking in the cash.
Yep. Pretty much.
So much money.
Yep.
If the Red Bull tournament got 4,700 people.
Yeah, times $25 a piece.
Yeah.
Plus some number of them are going to re-up.
But that was a tournament that you had to use some sort of Discord pairing thing. And there was
face when you booted up Arena.
Yeah, there was a higher bar to entry in terms of actual like technical doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a ton of people that do this.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see if they actually release the participation numbers.
yeah, I think if they're high, they will, because they'll be like, look how successful this was.
Yeah.
So you have an entire day to play day one. The format for day one is best of one.
Right, which is a little, whatever. But there's two ways to look at it. It's either good because it's best of one and, you can jam a game and then take a break, go cut the lawn, come back, jam a game, do something else, come back, jam a game. And you can do that a couple times, which is good for, keeping your mental load down. But also I've seen a little bit of criticism saying that this also encourages people re-upping. If you get all 7 of your best of one games in, you can do that in a couple hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you give it another shot at noon, and then you give it another shot at 4, and then you give it another shot at 7, and then you give it another shot at midnight, and, you're down $150 and haven't gotten anywhere.
Yeah. If you were to look at it as a GP, now a GP you are paying for a little bit of like experience, but by the time 100%. You factor in like hotel and entry fee,
this is very true.
You're gonna spend $150. Now, you left your house. You probably went someplace that had different food than the Pop-Tarts and like pizza rolls that you normally eat, right?
So that's all that's left in your cupboard after quarantine.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, you can just end up like burning a ton of money, just by like, oh, go again. So like I said, best of one. And it's the like traditional arena setup of 7 wins or until you get 2 losses.
Right.
To qualify for day 2. Now, the day 1 payout is kind of like hysterically bad.
It's not great.
It is.
But getting paid out for day 1, which doesn't happen anywhere else.
True. But, it's not great. It definitely is that kind of, I went 5-2. I'm gonna re-up, and you're basically re-upping at full price again, right?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, in like a normal arena event, your break-even point is somewhere around like halfway, like 4 wins, 5 wins. You're like break-even or a little ahead.
Yeah. So
for 0, 1, and 2 wins, you get nothing.
That's right.
And you like it. For 3 wins, you get 400 gems.
Yeah, 4 wins gives you 800 gems.
5 is 1,200.
Yep. 6 is 1,600.
Okay, you had a hell of a day. You went 6 and 2. Here's like,
less than half of your gems back.
Yeah. Okay, you killed it. You got your 7 wins. You're going on to day 2. You get a day 2 token.
Right, which you need to go to day 2.
And you get 2,000 gems. So that gives you
half your money back.
Another
thing that was kind of buried in the announcement is you can only get 1 day 2 token.
Okay.
So if you, kill it and get your 7 wins super easy and you want to do it again, and you do it again, you don't get a second day 2 token. Or you might get your second day 2 token, but you can only use 1 day 2 token on day 2.
Yeah, you can't like, if you bomb out a day 2, you can't then run it back.
Right.
With your second day 2 token.
One shot at day 2.
Yeah. So day 2 is where I just looked at the notes and you did write dollaridoos.
I
did. So day 2 will be May 31st. You have to join before 10 a.m., which is how they used to do the Mythic qualifier weekends or whatever they are called.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more structured than day 1.
Yeah. So this is best of 3. Again, 7 wins or 2 losses. So like you're committing to an entire day. Like this
will take you a whole day.
This is not cutting the grass in between rounds. Like you need all day.
Right.
So if you get 1 win in day 2, you will get 2,000 gems, which gets you to even for the event.
And I mean, I guess that's almost halfway, right? That's halfway through the event.
I guess if you look at the event as being the whole, like, 14 rounds, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, you get your money back winning one round in day 2. And then 2 wins is 4,000 gems.
Yep.
So it's the 2,000 you got before plus 4,000. So here you're up $12 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. Then 3 wins is 6,000, and then we'll let you do the dollaridoo things and whatnot.
Sure. 4 wins gives 10,000 gems. 5 wins is 20,000 gems. That's a whole lot of drafts.
20,000 gems is that $100 worth of gems? I think.
No.
Yeah.
It's less than that.
No, if you do the $100 bundle, I think it's $100. If you buy $100 worth of gems, I think it's 20,000 gems.
All right.
I think. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. If you get 6 wins, you get 1,000 actual factual dollars.
Real world dollaridoos, as is written here in my notes.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Yes. Morrow comes to your house with balloons and a big novelty check, like Publishers Clearinghouse style for the old folks. Yeah, there we go.
And then 7 wins gives 2,000 real world dollaridoos.
Becca Scott comes to your house with a check when you get 7 wins.
That's killer, though. That arena's giving out, cash prizes. That's awesome.
Yeah. You, too, can have a W4 on file with Wizards, or W9, or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
It's a lot of wins.
That is a lot of wins.
I mean, it's a little more forgiving than a GP, but not really. Because, like, a moderately sized GP, to day 2, you've got to go 6-1-1, or 7-1 to day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then when I day 2 that small legacy event, it was like, was it 700 people? I went like 6-1-1.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And barely made day 2. And then got paid at the dumbest record ever, 10-2-3.
That's a pretty awful record.
That is. But it kind of equates to 11-4, and 11-4 gets you paid.
That is correct.
And that got me $100.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, if you get your 7 wins on day 1, and then you get 5 wins on day 2, that's like you've won 12 games. Yeah. You get $100.
Yeah.
In arena bucks.
Yeah,
and then after that,
dollars.
Yeah, and then after that, so basically getting 13 wins, which is like on the cusp of a top 8 of a GP.
Yeah, that's top 8 on breakers, right?
Yeah, usually. It's $1,000, which then that pays out better than a normal GP.
Yeah, I think they mentioned in the article that if 200 people get like 7 wins day 2 or whatever. No, that's not right. I forget what they said in the article.
Yeah, it was gonna be. They could be upwards. They're talking about like being a $200,000 payout.
Yeah, which is, way more than they give out at GP.
Yeah, way more. That. Okay, I'm getting out my calculator here because I can do this math in my head, but we're gonna make sure here.
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah.
Divided by 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would need 8,000 entries to cover 100 people getting to 7 wins, not counting the people that get to 6 wins on day 2. So, like, they're probably going to get way more than 8,000.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think 8,000 is a conservative number.
Yeah. Are you going to enter?
It would require me to play standard, which I've not been a huge fan of. But I might. Like,
I probably will.
4,000 gems is a lot, but it's like 2 sealeds. Like, I'll live.
Yeah.
I'll probably only enter it once.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't re-up.
Yeah.
Unless I went like 6-2.
and like felt like you got like you were just there and you're like, oh, I gotta try to do this.
Yeah.
We don't get enough of our income. Well, we don't really get any income from the podcast. So you could like write this off as like a business expense. You could be like, well, I had to buy all these gems. It was a business expense. Like, no, that's not how that works. But yeah, I think it's good that they're trying to use Arena for something like this. And what this might allow to happen is this could be hopefully the start of like some sort of tournament software within the game. So
that would be fantastic.
Magic Fest Onlines don't have to be,
direct challenge monstrosities.
Direct challenge monstrosities through like Discord and Hope. Yeah. Like you just wouldn't have to deal with that. I think that if I were Channel Fireball, I'd be a little twitchy because this cuts you out of the
Magic Fest
Online thing, because it's just like, well, because like if I'm WOTC and I'm watching CFB get $25 entries from people like 4 or 5 days a week, and running these tournaments and paying out like real cash. Like I'm sure they were like, why aren't we doing this? Why are we giving them a cut? And so if this is successful, like, could they do one of these once a month?
Like just doing this once a month or once a quarter or whatever, I think is like a baby step.
Yeah.
Like I think that's completely doable. I think people would do it and I would be excited for that. I think the actual step is to have like actual Swiss pairings.
Yeah. Like make it like the Magic Online,
like the mocks or something.
The mocks, the challenges that are on there. That is a culture adjustment for people who play Arena.
Yeah, probably.
Right? But like if you explain it and they do it and then, they go play like, best of one ranked until they get like a dialogue window that's like, yo, you've got to like click accept in the next 15 minutes or you forfeit or whatever.
Right.
You could probably do that. But
I mean, they could do that right through the messaging that's built into it, though.
Yeah. But you could...
I would think.
Because, I mean, realistically, they're talking about, like, not having fans at baseball and football games, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, how far are we from, like, having a Magic Fest? Right? This could be how we play competitive Magic.
Yeah.
Through the end of the year.
I mean, that makes me real... Well... Two things. Number one, that makes me sad, though. I consider myself a much better player in paper than I am digitally.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just have an easier time in paper, like with physical objects in my hands. But number two, like, we were already done for the year.
Huh?
What wasn't the last event we were going to go to? Charlotte? Or not Charlotte.
DC in the fall. Or Richmond.
Oh, that was all the way in the fall? I thought it was over the summer.
There's one in October.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I've still not messaged CFB. Like, I bought 2 golden tickets last Thanksgiving, like on Black Friday. Because I was like, I'm going to go to 2 GPs. I'm going to buy my 2 golden tickets for like, $20 off. I'm good. There are no events for me to go to.
No events. You haven't emailed them yet?
No, I haven't emailed them. Like,
you should probably do that.
Should probably do that. I mean, I figure it's going to turn into like CFB store credit, or they're just going to refund me, or they'll be like, it'll be good for next year, and I'll be like, okay, cool.
Right, but I mean, you still do it though. You're done with Final Fantasy now. You don't have any excuse.
This is true. I came dangerously close to downloading the original Final Fantasy VII for my iPad. It's only $16. I was like, It's like I could like be on the couch beside you and doing this as opposed to being upstairs. Because I keep looking at my wife and she's like, "You want to go upstairs?" I'm like, and I just disappear for hours. So it could being portable could be good for my life, but yeah, these are these are exciting. This is something that is completely and totally different than what we have ever seen before.
Yeah, super out of the blue too.
Yeah.
Was not expecting it.
There were some rumors flying around last week on the Twitters that did not materialize today. This might have been the thing that they were up in arms about. That there could be that the next regional Pro Tour
was going to be on Arena.
And it was going to happen soon. But
this is certainly not a regional Pro Tour, though.
It is definitely not. So I don't know if there was this person's intel who was on Twitter, like setting himself on fire, if his intel was bad, or if his intel is good, but this is getting announced this week, and then the next thing gets announced the following week.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be Swiss pairings, though, right? They're not going to do that Arena pairings.
I would assume so, but whatever. They can do what they want.
Oh, I would be pissed.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh my God, I won't have an Arena collection. This is awful. And I'm like, before you were going to like fly to a venue, spend like $400 on cards.
Right.
And then play in this event.
Get a hotel room.
Yeah, you could pay $400 for all the cards you need on Arena.
Right.
And you'd be good. I think this Arena Open thing, as we alluded to before, is why they didn't make any standard bans.
Probably. This is only like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, you don't want to...
It's less than 2 weeks from now.
You don't want to blow up your standard format and say, hey, there's an event.
Yeah.
That we want you guys to participate in, because they want as many people as possible to participate in this.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just think about like GP Richmond that we went to, that was the OCO Pro Tour / OCO GP. And they didn't ban OCO until after that.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to get through the Pro Tour.
And attendance certainly hurt because of it.
Yeah. I don't think that we're that bad right now. We're not going to be 70%.
Yeah.
Jessica, Yorion, Luca, but we're going to be not great. I guess we have one more thing that was a WOTC announcement today that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I didn't actually put this one in the show notes. So
you want to talk about it or no?
Absolutely, yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So WOTC announced a program. It's called We Love Our LGS.
And we do.
Yep. And so any event you enter at an LGS starting June 5th, you will get a foil reliquary tower.
Yeah, it's like a new promo with a special promo reliquary tower.
Yeah. And if you buy a box of Ikoria or mystery boosters after June 5th, you get Mecha Godzilla Mobile Fortress, aka Hangerback Walker,
with alt art Godzilla frame. Yes.
But yeah, the card's sick.
I so wish it was Walking Ballista though.
Yeah, and the fact that it's Hangerback Walker is fine. The card still sees a lot of play, but Walking Ballista sees infinitely more play.
Yeah.
But yes. So if you're going to make a purchase, if you're going to buy mystery boosters or a mystery booster box or an Ikoria box in June, and your options are buy it from Amazon or find a local game store, definitely find
a local game store.
Because realistically, the Hangerback Walker is probably $20 to $50 for just that card. They're basically giving you 20 to 50% off your box by handing you the Walking Ballista.
Yep.
So that is definitely something that you should probably take advantage of. Is just getting money off.
Yeah, they're also doing art prints for something too, and it's like a Ikoria, set art Yeah, it's super cool. I'm not sure what you have to do to get one of those, but they're giving those out at stores also.
Yeah, I think the cards were what were super exciting.
Yeah, I mean the art prints are neat though.
Yeah, but
yeah, hangerback walker is
yeah, if you
the
can
most
get
exciting thing.
if you can get yourself a hangerback walker, you should probably do that.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that I know that with Nexus of Fate, people said, "Oh, like we've printed a ton of these; they shouldn't be that expensive." And people were like, some shop owners might not have known what they had and threw them like in a drawer or something. I'm going to assume that everyone's going to be trying to wring every nickel out of everything for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And these are going to bring in a reasonable number of nickels.
Absolutely.
So I don't think any are going to get thrown in a drawer. So there should be a reasonable supply, but it's not going to be a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, it's not going to be so many that they're not going to have value, but I would still think that they're going to be hard to get your hands on.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was super neat looking.
Yeah. Super cool.
Now to the thing that had, other than Final Fantasy VII Remake, that made it so I did not want to play Magic.
Yeah.
Our adopted deck
was Grixis, Yori, and Luca Fires. What did you think about Grixis, Yori, and Luca Fires?
So I started our show notes so I could like rail about the deck and have it actually be something that we could use as I was playing it. My record for the week, I was playing best of one because I was of the mindset if this deck can't win game ones, why am I trying to make it win game 2 and 3 post board? Like clearly the deck's not built right. Yeah. I went 9 and 21.
Oh, you did way worse than I mean, I did not do good, but you went way worse than I did.
I gave up on it the first day. I was like, okay, I'm going to get my 4 wins, and I went 4 and 8.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, when I brought myself to play it again, I went 4 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went like 1 and 5 and was like, I'm going to play Brawl. I'm out. Or 1 and 4 or something. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm out.
I played best of 3, not on the ladder. I did some challenges because I didn't want to grenade my rank with this thing.
Okay.
So I did some challenges. I think I did 4 challenges, and I didn't do better than 3 and 2 in any of them. But I also don't think I did worse than 2 and 2 in any of them.
Yeah.
I was playing best of 3 though.
Yeah. And I was able to stay at plat 2 somehow.
Yeah. Somehow.
Somehow. I don't know how. All right. So I think the deck is like firmly in the middle. And what I mean by that is it's too small for the big decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the Jeskai version of this deck, and some of the like Bant ramp strategies. Like, you're not doing stuff that's big enough, consistently enough.
Yeah.
But it's also too big for the little decks, right?
Yeah,
like,
so
oh, go ahead.
Those decks kind of like just go over the top of you, but you're not quick enough to go under them.
Yeah, and then for the small decks, it's not big enough to bury them.
Right.
But it's big enough that they can get under it.
Yeah.
And so the thing I kept noticing is there's no way to catch up game 1, right? If the little decks go wide, there's no sweeper in the main deck to try to catch you back up.
Yep.
And if the big like fires deck stick a turn 4 fires, like there's no way to interact. You just sit there helpless because you're in Grixis colors.
Right.
So
yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do.
There's not anything you can do. So I felt like a lot of the games came down to play draw.
Yeah.
Like you both have a Yorian and they get to turn 4 before you and they go fires. And then their turn 5 is Luca, steal a land, Yorian, steal another land, and you're done.
Pretty much.
And it's like, I I had no agency in this game. Like, none of the cards that you have in that deck allow you to interact with that in any meaningful way.
Yep.
I said the deck plays too many unplayable cards.
Yeah. It plays actual creatures, which are a problem. And we'll get into that in a minute. But the creatures that they play are like creatures that don't matter. Like, you're playing these slightly overcosted creatures that like make your opponent discard cards. So it plays like Burglar Rat and Yarax.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they just don't do anything.
And since they get to choose, I've like double or triple discarded opponents, and they still go fires Luca Yorion on turn 4 and 5 after like ripping their hand apart. And I'm just like, I was supposed to win this game.
The blue Mythos is also wildly unplayable in this deck.
Garbage.
I have no idea whose thought it was to put that in this deck.
I have copied lands with it to make sure I hit my land drops.
Yeah.
Like,
it just doesn't do anything.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
The mana is horrific as well.
Yeah, Grixis doesn't get a tri-land like Jeskai does.
It doesn't get a tri-land. And you've got black for Fenlurker.
Yeah.
1 blue for Narset.
Yeah. And then you need red for Luca.
And red for Luca if you don't hit your fires in your 80 card deck.
Yeah.
So, like, you just have all these, like, greedy mana costs, and, like, Bolus is, like, basically uncastable unless you have fires.
Yeah.
I mean, I've cast without a fires, but
it's not easy.
Blue, black, red, like, no. Yeah. Like, I repeatedly, like, would bottom Narsets off Scries because I was like, I'm never going to cast this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have 2 blue.
Yeah. I mean, that leads right into the next point that this isn't a Narset deck either.
Yeah. I have here, I can probably raise this number. I missed with Narset 3 times in a row that I know of.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't happen. If you have a Narset deck, like, every so often you're going to hit 4 lands. Mm-hmm. But the number of times I hit, like, 2 lands and 2 creatures.
Yeah.
This is like, no.
Like, that's the point that I alluded to earlier, is that the Jeskai version, like, all of the creatures are spells that you can hit with Narset.
Yeah, that's, what is it? The
Raise the Alarm and Omen of
the Sea and the Saga. Omen of the Omen of the Sun and the Saga.
Yeah.
Birth of Meletus.
So you can find them off. Yeah, you can find them off your Narset though. So when you tick up your Narset, you're like, oh, okay, here's my creature for Luca in 2 turns. And when you tick up Narset in this deck, you're like, oh, here's a Fibblethip
that I can't take.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. You are still lost at the bottom of the deck now.
A slight aside on this, and then we'll get back to, talking about whatever, but on the fact that we're talking about, like, the creatures not being spells, is because they're not spells and they're creatures, you can Luca into them if you're not careful. So a couple times I found myself, like, using a Mythos or, like, an agent to either copy or steal something, like, just to stabilize me before, like, I went off. And then if you use that creature for Luca, you end up hitting a Burglar Rat instead of your agent.
Yeah, like, you play your agent and you steal their shark.
Yeah, or if they had, like, a big fox or something.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to get an AO. No.
Yeah. I just turned a 7/7 fox into a Burglar Rat. Thanks, Luca.
Yeah, good job, buddy. Those are awkward. I think at one point I wrote to you, the Narset's only in here to troll you. Like, it's only here to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
It did not work well.
I've kind of reiterated this to you a couple times, but I think that the deck is, like, fundamentally flawed, and I don't know that any amount of tuning will fix it.
Yeah, so I don't want to make it sound like we had totally given up. I did try to replace... I basically took out all the creatures and started trying to put in amass spells.
So I meant to ask you this earlier. Which amass spells did you try using?
I did like a weird mix of like just 2 and 3 ofs to try to get like just see what I liked. But I used Dreadhorde Invasion.
Okay.
I used Toll of the Invasion.
Which one's that?
The discard spell, the 2 and a black.
Oh, okay.
Discard, amass 1.
Yep.
And then I tried, and it was a terrible idea. I should not have done it. What is it? Widespread Panic.
Oh, that was one I was going to ask you about because I thought that might solve 2 problems for you.
Where it would be like the catch-up mechanism.
Yeah.
But what it lacks is because it deals damage, right? Like they have like a 4/4 Fox.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you would have had to have some more amass out before it starts.
I only played a handful of games. I think I might have left the Fibble Tips in, not thinking about hitting them with Luca. Not that I ever got to like do a Luca thing, but yeah, I cut the rats for actual cards that did things.
What about did you try Callous Dismissal?
That was one I thought about. I didn't put it in. I think that was one of the first things I had thought about because it gives you a way to like
it's a little bit of tempo.
Yeah, it gives you a way to like slow down the aggressive decks. It might be better to play like more spot removal where you're playing like that, fire prophecy. Edge? Yes, that one, the 1 black. Yeah. Like that's fine. It runs into the same problem as like I was gonna say like fire prophecy where if a fox gets too big, it doesn't do anything. Right, and that's, I think, one of the problems is you get a lot of cards that end up not doing anything.
Yeah, but, like, Callous Dismissal's great against Fox, though, because you just reset it.
Yeah. No, I think Callous Dismissal will be good. I think if you were going to try to play this deck, you would just want to pull out all the creatures and put in a bunch of token makers. But the token makers you have in the Grixis colors are kind of medium spells.
Yeah, you get... what's the one from Throne? Satyr's Cunning or whatever?
Yeah. I was playing, was it Mask of Immolation?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, so I did, because it gives you a permanent that you get to reset and get your 1/1 back.
Yeah.
So it lets you, like, block and then sack a thing. That was fine, but I don't know. It's kind of like the Burglar Rat issue,
right,
where the card's kind of unplayable and like too often just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. It's reasonable against like mono red though.
Yeah, it does give you like, you know, a block your thing, throw my thing, kill your other thing, which you kind of desperately need. And we have on here like part of it is because you're not white, you don't have access to Teferi.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest glaring problem with this deck is that this was in the article that you were referring to earlier, but I think I had, like me and you had talked about this privately, like before that article came out, is that like the tempo play that Teferi gives you is exactly what Fires wants to be doing. It comes down and gives you like a little tempo advantage, like the turn before Fires comes out. And then your opponent has to spend their next turn answering Teferi, or Teferi runs away with the game. And because they're spending their next turn answering your Teferi, you know that you're clear for Fires the next turn, and you're like almost guaranteed to get a mana advantage out of Fires.
Yeah, and if like, so let's say you bounce their 3-drop, right? You're on the draw and you bounce their 3-drop. Well, as long as they don't play a hasty 4-drop, you know your Teferi is going to be there.
Right.
And the way the Jeskai decks are built, you just are like, you know, Fires, Shatter the Sky. And now you've got a Teferi, plus you ate their 4-drop, and you got your Fires down all in like a 2-turn span. Yeah. And there's nothing... Like, without a Shatter the Sky and without a Teferi, you don't have that, like, Teferi being a catch-all answer. Right? The number of times where, like, my opponent played a fires, and I was like, I can't do anything about this. Like, I just lose now. Because
you can do actual nothing about it.
Where if I was Jeskai, I would like Teferi bounce their fires. Or, I would have ticked up my Teferi the turn before and then been able to bounce their fires and then play my own fires and like start to kind of get a game going.
Yep.
As opposed to just being like, well, I have no agency here. Like if you were super all in on the Luca plane where you need creatures, I think that like to make up for the lack of Teferi, which is a huge thing, like is you could play like Thought Erasure and some like discard so you have something early to do against the big decks. But that's really bad against like mono red because you're like, I spent 2 mana to take a 1/1.
What about Vraska? The uncommon Vraska from War.
That makes... I thought about her.
Does it make Death Touchers?
It does make Death Touchers. So that could work. I just like her being 4 seemed awkward. And I mean, you would get to like, in theory, make 2 Death Touchers and then reset it, which is all you want to do with your Yorion anyway. And like, you get to sack your tokens. Like that could work. But being 4 is just not as good as being
3.
And
tempo play.
Yeah. And also like if you think that Vraska takes the spot of say Omen of the Sun, right?
Yeah.
Omen of the Sun, you get those tokens right away.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting them on like a 2-turn installment plan.
Yeah.
Now granted the Vraska tokens are better. Mm-hmm. I also thought about
they're like kind of a spell.
Mm-hmm. I also thought about Tybalt as like a 3 mana.
Yeah, Tybalt's not a bad idea.
No, it's 3 mana, gets you 2 1/1s. It could be reasonable. But I think the deck one felt like it needed more creatures that aren't creatures to to get with your to have hits for your Luca.
I mean, you could play the new one too, Forbidden Friendship or whatever.
Yeah, I thought about that. I was like, is this card good enough? I don't know. It's a 2.
I guess it's worth raising alarm.
Yeah, because it's not an instant. But I was going to say, it's a 2 mana 2/2 on some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I understand the, like, idea of, like, oh, I'm going to have, like, a burglar rat, and I'm going to blink it, and I'm going to, like, make them discard another card. If things have gone well, when you go to blink your stuff, they have no cards. They just don't have anything. So...
What about Storm's Wrath? Did you think about that at all?
I had not. I was thinking more like Ritual of Soot, but Storm's Wrath would also be good.
Yeah, I mean, Storm's Wrath would clean up like Teferis and Narsets and stuff too.
Yeah, but it also cleans up your Narset, which is an issue.
Yeah.
We might not have played as much with this deck as we would have liked, but it was also just, it was not a fun experience.
I also had some other things to do. My wife ran into some professional issues this weekend, so I had to deal with that. And then it was pre-release, so I had pre-release going on too. So I didn't have a ton of time to play, but I mean, I did put some games in.
If I'd have been winning 45 to 55% of my games,
it would have been a different story.
I probably would have like worked harder to get it to, from 45 to 50 or 55 to, try to get, to 60 or more consistent or something that felt better. But like winning 30, it was like, I feel like I just have to like blow up the whole thing. And this is also something that people talk about is when you're playing or building a deck, are you just a worse fill in the blank?
And the answer is yes.
Yeah, in this case, you're just a worse Jeskai. You're just worse than Jeskai deck. I couldn't figure out what the black cards were giving you that were better than the white cards. You know what I mean? It wasn't like...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, it wasn't like it's not like you go black because you get X, Y, and Z and that answers a specific problem in the metagame, right? It was kind of like you played black cards because you didn't want to play white cards.
Basically.
Or you wanted to be different, which I'm down for. Like, fine. But it just felt like you would put in a whole bunch of work and you would still have a worse version of a deck that already existed.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. I'm on board.
So we have to come up with a new deck to adopt.
I mean, by the time listeners are listening to this, we'll have already chosen. But
yeah. So, did anyone on Discord have any suggestions?
One person mentioned Gruul Fires.
Okay.
I guess there's a Gruul Fires list running around.
Yeah,
I had seen like a real early version like a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if that's the list he was referring to or not. I might be kind of over Fires after this week. So I don't know if I really want to do that.
I think that's like the what is it? Like Questing Beast. What is his name? The companion, the bad one, the 3/2.
Oh,
the green white
Kahira?
one. Yeah, because whenever I played against it, my opponents always went a Boreal Grazer into attack me for 1 on turn 2 because they got to play the Kahira into like Fire's Questing Beast or Embercleave.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, cool.
I did see a Gruul, or not a Gruul, a Jund list, a Jund Kahira list that wasn't Fires that looked neat. I don't know if that's necessarily something we want to do for the adopted deck, but I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, my thought was we could do Blue-Green Mutate, because that's a deck that's kind of floated around.
Absolutely. I'm in for some Mutate shenanigans. That's what I was working on in Brawl all weekend.
There you go. And it also is pretty cheap on the wild cards.
Yeah.
There's just a few rares in it, so I'll try to find us a list, and we can give that a go.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah, it definitely has draws where you just don't get to do anything against it. I'm sure it also has draws where they have 1 removal spell in the game ends.
It's not quite that bad. I messed around with Mutate a little bit early in this format.
Yeah. I
mean it's not great, but it's not that bad.
I mean, when you get like 3 permanents and play off your Starix, like you did it.
Yeah. The easy mode is like Shore Shark into Archipelagor.
Okay.
You just validate everything they ever do.
I've also seen the Sloth or Royal Grazer, and then you put the 4/4 body on it, and then you just get smashed by a 4/4.
Does this deck run a companion?
I think it runs the green-black guy.
Oh, Omori? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just all creatures.
You're right.
We'll try that. That should be a little...
All right, I'm in for that.
Should be a little interesting. So
I also saw a Mardu Winota deck.
Okay.
It looked really cool. I don't have Winotas or wildcards for Winotas, so we can't play that one, but it looked super sweet.
I've not seen that.
All right, let me see if I can find it real quick. I just saw it right before we started recording.
So I went to CFB Pro to look at the standard power rankings for the week.
Yeah.
And it's Yorion, Jeskai, Luca, then Cycling, and number 3 is other Yorion decks.
Just in general, other Yorion decks?
Just in general. I played against a Jeskai control deck that had Zerta as the companion.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, between Sharknado and all the Planeswalkers, every permanent...
It was just a free roll.
Every permanent you play has an activated ability, so then you just play that, and you just get your free 3/3.
Yeah. All right, so I found this list. It's Grim Initiate, Fight as 1, Lazatep, Reaver, General's Enforcer, alongside Judith, Tajik, and Hakdos. And then you get Winota and Annex, and Raise the Alarm, and Embercleave. Yeah, I thought it looked kind of neat.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something different than we've seen.
Judith is a pretty spicy hit off of Winota trigger, I think.
You just give your board like plus 3/+0, if not more.
Right.
So I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much else to chime in this week. That was a pretty exhaustive recoup of today's events, plus our trials and tribulations with Grixis, Yori, and Luca Fires. Get over here.
I know we haven't done the data sheets as much, but on some level, like, Magic doesn't feel as real right now.
No, it certainly feels like there's nothing you're working towards right now.
Yeah, and
like, even if we didn't have an event coming up immediately, like we were always kind of staying in the loop because there was an event looming at some point.
Yeah.
And now there's just not even an inkling of an idea of when we might get to play an actual big event in paper again. So
yeah, and this came up on Arena Deck List. Like Emma Handy sent in a question. It was like, what can these online tournaments do to like be better? And Jerry was like, it just doesn't feel like I'm engaged with them. And like, yes, there's coverage, but I don't care because like I'm not watching to play an event because I'm not like, an online like super grinder or anything.
Yeah.
And like it used to be like, hey, it's the weekend. Let me see what's on coverage. It was kind of like, it's nerd football, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's Saturday. I bet you there's a tournament on. Oh, it's Sunday. I bet you the other part of that tournament's on.
I've made that exact reference to my wife before, where she's come in and asked me what I was doing, and I said, "Oh, I want to see at least the top 8 of this event, so I'm watching this event on Sunday." And I said, "I feel like I should have, a plate of buffalo wings in front of me watching football."
Yeah,
but it's Magic, not football.
Right. And you've like lost that event nature of it, right? Yeah. Like. It's almost like if there's coverage all the time, there's not coverage.
Because, right, yeah, yes, there's nothing novel about it.
Yeah, because, I can go right now on CFB's, Twitch page or YouTube page or whatever it is and watch some coverage, but it doesn't feel like it matters or like it has, there's any urgency to it.
Yeah. Not only that, but it doesn't have the same production value either. It's like you're just watching a stream instead of watching an event.
Yeah. So when things get back to normal, we'll probably work on the metagame again. Also, I can tell you what the metagame is. Pokemon. You play a Pokemon. Find your favorite Pokemon and you put them beside you and you're like, "Hey buddy, we're doing this." And the best Pokemon is the Sky Noodle.
Sky Noodle.
Just Sky Noodle it up. Look at him. He's a noodle in the clouds.
Is.
So, yeah. We'll get back to normalcy one of these days. But
one of these days.
Until then, you can tweet at us at CasualTryPod. I do still try to, when I see a list that catches my eye or lists pop up, I try to retweet them, especially when it's something different.
Yeah, I've tagged you in a couple lists I thought were interesting too that you've then reposted.
Yeah, so if you want to do something like that, if you want me to keep doing that or you see an interesting list, let us know.
Mm-hmm. You can also hit us up on Facebook, CasualTryHardMTG. As always, you can drop us an email at show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. I check our email all of the time, usually 2 or 3 times a day. I think I've had more correspondence with listeners through email than any other social media. So if that's how you want to talk to us, feel free. Don't forget about our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Link should be in the description, or you can just type it in. Like I said, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Again, just to reiterate, our quick spec is Doran, the perfect pet, the Godzilla frame Sprite Dragon. I think they're have the potential to see some pretty big gains, so maybe jump in on those. We also have our Patreon. If you want to contribute to the show a little bit more meaningfully there, we would greatly appreciate it, but don't feel like you have to. We know times are tough right now. They're tough for everybody. It's patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. We do have our Discord server up and running, so follow our pinned tweet on Twitter is an invite to our Discord server. Hop in there and we talk about all sorts of stuff, and we will probably also post a list for the adopted deck in there also.
Yeah, we did last week. We'll find something. When I get on to Play Arena, I check this and stuff. I check the Discord and throw some stuff up. So
yeah, the arena's cool. Or not the arena, the Discord's cool. I'm finding myself liking it more than I thought I would.
There you go. Yeah, someone has has something in here and show ideas. Look at that.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, craziness, doing our jobs for us.
So yeah, do that too. If you got anything you guys want to hear about, post it up in show ideas and let us know.
Yeah. So with that, I think that's a show, right?
I believe that is a show. We will catch you guys on Discord.
Yeah, we'll see you on Discord.